Hello internet, new phone, new camera, new picture quality. Still no editing, still no scripting, still no clue from the author. So that something's changed, some stay the same. I've recently been running the 08. I'm going to upload a little video about that soon. But I want to talk about this. This is a box, and inside the box is Tiger, one of two that we own. This was a birthday present for the girlfriend for her 00 layout. Yes, she is real. As is this little loco. Nice little thing. I'm not going to take it out of the box because there is so much fiddly detail in here. I'm always just very nervous about touching the damn thing. So not going to take it out. But I do want to tell like a little bit of a story about why this is in the box and why we have two of them. Because this one is broken and I can't fix it. So she wants it chipped. She wants every train she has, she wants it chipped, and she wants it on the HM7000 system with the Bluetooth on the phone and the sound and everything. If she can't have those, she's going to be disappointed. Fair enough. So we get the HM7000 chip, we install it, follow the instructions here. What's missing from these pictures is the insulation tape around the blanking plate, which makes sense, I guess. It is metal in there, so you should put the insulation tape back on as well. Now, the trouble with this is that the HM7000 chip, the width of it is about the same width as the space you are given to work in. And the height of it is about the same height as the space you're given to work in. That's a problem. It's a tight fit. It does go in, but it's a tight fit. You've got to be careful not to catch these wires and pull them tight, because then the tender won't go around corners. That we found that out the hard way. No big deal. Just to make sure the wires are just in the right place, and you kind of tuck it in. You kind of got to force it in a little bit. Quite a tight fit. That worked okay until it didn't. At my local model train club, on their perfect test track, it worked okay, but it did stutter every now and then. It did kind of hiccup every now and then. And my experience of the HM7000 is basically if there's any kind of just slight imperfection on the track, any kind of slight voltage drop or power drop or whatever, it kind of like reboots essentially and just doesn't work and is not happy. So just, not ideal. So, okay, let's fit a stayalive. Hornby stayalives are out of stock and they won't fit anyway. So let's get these Transfabrique ones. So that's the circuit board you need to put in, and you just put in two of these capacitors. No problem, you'd think. Well, as I just mentioned, it's a tight fit in there, and I cannot get the whole lot in the little space that is inside the front here. So what I end up doing, and it takes me a good couple of hours to kind of figure this out and just keep trying things, is to put the circuit board in here with the HM7000 decoder in this part, just about gets that in, and then run the wire through to the capacitor into here, and just put that kind of underneath, and I can just probably just tape that up, whatever. That's all fine. Took a while to figure that out. So, okay, I installed it all, no problems, put it on the track, doesn't move. Oh dear. Have I broken something? Well, obviously I have, because nothing's, the train won't respond, won't go on Bluetooth, won't respond to DCC either, it just won't work. Okay, fine. Take it apart and then realise that some of the wires, if I can just get this back out again, some of the wires here, two of them in fact, are just snapped off. They're just snapped in half. A clean break, it's like I've gone with them with scissors. I haven't done that. I've just snapped them, and I've done that just by trying to shove everything back in there and all the experimentation I did. I also broke some detail. One of the bars that goes along here has snapped off. However, that one looks like I can just glue it back in. That little hook thing has snapped off, and there's another one at the back. Probably again can glue them back on, but it's leaving a bit of a bad experience in my head. So you think, okay, well, it's only a snapped wire, just replace it, right? Yeah. Hold on, I've just put these instructions away, but I still need them. There is no instruction of how to remove anything. There's no instructions of how to get into the loco. It's just lubrication, putting the accessories on, and coal inserts, and the decoder, and then there's a bunch of legal gump at the back and what have you, and at the front, and bits and pieces. There's nothing on here whatsoever about taking the train apart. So I tried to take it apart myself. The wires, they go right up into here, and they go right up here and around and then down again on this picture, and then into the motor and the pickups presumably. You can't pull them out, you can't get at them. I couldn't solder them because it's right inside that cavity. It's very difficult to get to. Someone with more skill than me can probably do it, but I'm working with what I've got here. There's a bunch of screws underneath. You can take them out, but there's a screw back here behind the detail which you can't get to. The detail looks like it's glued in, although I don't think it's clipped in. I couldn't figure out how to get it out. And I started scratching things and damaging more things, and the screws getting kind of lost and jammed in there. I thought, you know what? let's just admit defeat. I know when I'm beaten, and I'm beaten here, and that's it. I'm done. So buy another locomotive. This one will go on eBay. I'll list it as spares or repair. I'll be very honest about the damage that I've done to it. Yeah, this will go on eBay for spares and repair. Some brave soul can have a go at it, and I'm sure they can get it working again, but I am not that brave soul. That's just it. So we brought a second one. Brought a Zemo decoder, which is the same brand that I've got in the 08. That fitted really easily because it was actually much closer at least to the next 18 specification. We know the HM7000 is oversized. And because it's got this built-in stay alive on it, it just ran, and it runs okay on her track. It still sputters a little bit here and there, but it does recover gracefully usually. It's a bit of a her track could be better, I'm not going to lie, so we need to sort that out. But at the same time, unless, even on the pristine track, when I took this thing with the HM7000s into Train Club, it did still kind of mess up every now and then. So that was a bit disappointing. So, of course, that's not the end of the story, because then she needs she needs this little setup, doesn't she? She needs the Hornby Select, or the Elite, but I'm not paying for that. And she needs this little legacy dongle to then work with her phone. So that was a new loco, new chip. Obviously no space for this, didn't need it in the end because the chip had to stay alive. New controller and legacy dongle. Although the advantage is now she is set up, right? So literally any train with DCC on capability on it, she can now run it through the app. That'll make her happy. So that's kind of got us out of this vendor lock-in of only having the HM7000 series stuff on there. So yeah, there is a little bit of a silver lining to that cloud. So that's annoying, right? That it's a thing that happened, and yeah, you know what? It is my fault that I snapped those wires. But I think there's a little bit of blame which can probably go Hornby's way here. Just bear with me here. I'm not trying to claim warranty. I'm not going to try and sue Hornby or anything stupid like that. But I'm going to rant for a moment. So my apologies. The tone of this is not going to sound too positive, but I should not have had to have done that. So, okay, it's an analog train. Excuse me, analog locomotive. Fine. The next 18 socket on there, I happen to know that the next 18 standard, you can just put capacitors and a little bit of circuitry, but just put capacitors on there to have built-in stay alive capability. So why haven't they done that? It's a small loco, not as small as me little 08 over there, not as small as an 040 or an 060, but quite a small loco. Why haven't they just done that? Why isn't it just on there? Kind of confuses me a little bit. I don't really understand. It feels like they've just kind of cheaped out, and it's like, well, an extra sort of maybe 10 or 15 pounds of component will just sort this problem out. And I mean 10 or 15 pounds to the consumer. It probably won't cost Hornby that to put that on there. Bear with me. So Peachy, TT120 Peachy, fantastic little YouTube channel. Really impressed with him. He's going from strength to strength. Good on him. He has got TT120 trains like this one, like the Flying Scotsman, which is in its box over there, like the HSTs. I think he has the Coronations classes, and I think he has the Class 50 from memory. I think he's basically got one of everything that Hornby have made in this scale so far. And he has said, and he's shown us on the footage that he's done, where the train moves a few millimeters before cutting out and spluttering, and it just doesn't work. When he installs the Hornby Stay Alive, it transforms the experience into something which you expect it to be. Peachy knows a lot more than I ever will about this hobby. He just does. It's as simple as that. And he couldn't get it to work without a Stay Alive. So he knows about clean tracks, clean wheels, level track. He knows all of that stuff, and making sure there's good continuity around the whole layout. He's not oblivious. He knows this stuff. He knows it better than me. Yet he couldn't get it working without a Stay Alive. What does that tell you? The Stay Alive should just be there. It should just be on the circuitry. So this one I have had to take apart to then put in a third-party piece, which presumably, if something went wrong, well, whose warranty are we claiming on here? Is it user error? Is it this piece? Is it that piece? Who knows? Luckily, nothing went wrong. To then have two capacitors at the end, the circuit board onto the HM7000, squeeze it all in, and then it's transformed the experience. So my experience was basically, if I left it sort of sitting there for about 4 or 5 minutes, then fired it up. It tended to work a lot better, but it was still a bit ropey. However, the experience with this, leave it for about 10 seconds, then you're good to go. Experience is the same with this. If you immediately fire it up, it's basically like it hasn't got a stay alive in, but as soon as you leave it for about 10 seconds or so, I'm guessing it's charging up the capacitors, I'm assuming. I don't know. I don't know the technicals behind it, but it just sort of feels like actually, you know, it's doing something and then it fires up. So why haven't Hornby just done this? Because my opinion, my take on this is that Hornby is a tech company. They use tech when they're designing these things. They use tech when they're building them, and they have to think about tolerances and injection molding and like actual like steps of a mass-produced process. Well, I guess they're in batches. It's probably not really mass-produced. I don't know. They have to think about steps of a process in order to build these things. It's complicated, and that's why these things are kind of expensive. And sadly, it's why a lot of it is in China now, because it's just a cheaper construction. So why would you harm the brand by not putting a stay alive in there? Or at the very least, Hornby, yeah, okay, you sell these as analog and you sell them as digital, but I mean, if they're digital, they should have the stay alive fitted, and the stay alive should have space. There should be an allocated space in that tender to say this is the stay alive and this is where it's going. And that's just not happened. And that's just disappointing, because it just shouldn't be something we think about. I shouldn't have to worry about it. It should just be on the next 18 socket. The joined up experience is poor. And when you compare the joined up experience of Hornby versus, say, another tech business, let's say Apple, completely different sector, completely different scale, literally, you know, just completely different to how it all works. But they're both tech companies, and Hornby does have a vertical integration opportunity, right? It's Hornby track, it's Hornby trains, it's Hornby rolling stock, it's Hornby controllers, it'll be Hornby accessories, you know, get Hornby like little trees and level crossings and lights and everything, and the HM6010 that I've got onto the other side of this baseboard. It's Hornby, yet the Hornby Stay Alive doesn't fit the Hornby train. You wouldn't get that with Apple, would you? Oh, sorry, our iPhone doesn't talk to the iPad. You can't move pictures across. Sorry about that. What? No, of course that wouldn't happen. Why is Hornby doing this? Especially with TT120, and the reason I chose this scale is because it allowed it to be smaller. Double O is pretty nice. N scale is pretty nice. T scale I quite like the look of, but obviously the smaller you get, the more detail you lose. But Hornby said, look, Simon said we picked one TT120 to allow us to have almost all of the detail you can have at double O, but smaller. And I agree with them. And with the latest tooling, the latest technology, everything's kind of there now. You know, everything's kind of just caught up. You can now have really nice locos with lots of detail. And as a newbie coming in, I saw some of this N-scale stuff, and maybe I was looking at older stuff. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But I did see things like the 08 shunter, for example. I saw a model 08, and it did not look as good as this. Things were oversized, and you could just tell. So I thought, okay, this is a premium experience. And you look at the marketing, and you look at the stuff that they're talking about. You look at their YouTube videos and interviews that they're doing, and they say, hey guys, this is our top stuff, all newly tooled. We haven't just grabbed a double O scale thing and just resized it in the software. We have started from scratch. So you're going to get our absolute best. This is our best technology. And yeah, we don't have smoke boxes and stuff like that. Let's not go nuts. We haven't gone right to 100% of their best, but we have got most of the way there. So to not have a stay alive, or the capability to even fit one in here, which is a Hornby part, what an own goal. What an absolute own goal. And surely Hornby would have been testing this, and surely Hornby would have been thinking around, we're trying to get newbies in here. And Simon, during his interviews, from my memory, my faulty memory, he was saying that this isn't aimed at people that already have a double O layout, which they've spent thousands of pounds on and like 20 years developing. It's not aimed at those people. This is aimed at new people, dumbasses like me that don't know what they're doing and want a premium experience and are willing to pay for it. I know people go on about the prices of these things sometimes. I get it. I do get it, because no one likes to pay more money for the same thing. Of course they don't. No one likes that. But Hornby, if you, on the very, very unlikely view that you're watching this, I will happily pay an extra 10 or even £20 for any loco which is sound fitted if you put a stay alive in it, built in. genuinely, and I think other people would be the same, because that means I can then have a pristine loco to which I never have to open, never have to lose a screw, never have to snap off a bit of detail by mistake, never have to make those stupid mistakes. I can literally just plonk it on the track, reassured that it's got sound fitted and it's got a stay alive fitted, and it'll and basically, if this thing is coughing and spluttering and struggling, that my track must be absolutely disgusting, and I have to spend 10 minutes cleaning it, and probably the wheels on the loco as well at that point. Fitting a stay alive absolutely just completely transformed this, and it completely transformed that. This actually runs okay most of the time, but when it glitches, but it's usually okay. And weirdly, it's the non-power car one that usually screws up and just stops responding, but just has the lights on and makes a noise. But yeah, whatever. You know, as someone who's new to the hobby, okay, I've been doing this a year, but I've barely. I'm lucky if I spend a couple of hours a month on this thing sometimes. You know, to see your brand new loco making it sort of suddenly stutters and then making chuffing noises as if the wheels are turning, but nothing actually turns, and you're looking at it thinking, what the hell's going wrong? Then 5 seconds later, it suddenly launches at full speed. That's the experience I've had. Or I've had experiences where it actually just doesn't respond to the phone command at all because it's just got in some weird glitched mode, and I've got to sort of turn off the whole layout and turn it back on again, and then wait for everything to resync and wait for the phone to start talking to everything. All of that has gone away since fitting these little stay alives. Tram Fabrique could charge double. I'd still pay it. Don't tell him that. Just feels like we've missed something here. Am I wrong? I'm probably wrong, right? Everything you look at the hobby, and me and the girlfriend started at roughly the same time. She started a little bit before me. She got her first stuff before I did. And she was always asking these questions. And something I always said to her is, look, if we're thinking about it and we're brand new, that means someone has thought about it and probably solved the problem. And their problem has been solved with stay alive. But why aren't they just on the trains? Why isn't this just the standard? If you're running on analog, yeah, I get it. I don't want to pay this extra. I don't want to pay an extra £10, £20 for a bloody stay alive. Yeah, I hear you. But if it should at least be an option where the space has been made to allow it to happen. And I think actually the 08 having a 6-pin socket on there, why have we done that? They should have moved heaven and earth to make sure it had an X18 socket on there with a stay alive, especially given it's such a small little thing and it's going to suffer more than anything else that I've got in my collection at the moment. What were you thinking, Hornby? This is insane. Just my take on it. It just feels like we've just missed the mark, and we're 96% the way there, Hornby, and just that little extra bit. And I know playing armchair CEO is a really easy thing to do. It's really easy for me to demand that you do everything I ask of you, and that you release 200 models a year, and and it's always in stock, and it's always like 50p instead of £200, right? It's really easy for me to ask the world, but I don't think I'm being unreasonable here. Even if the only concession they make is like, you know what, yeah, we are going to reshape these things so that at the back there is a little bit of space. If that's the only concession they make, okay, fine. But I just think actually they really should have just made it so that next 18s are everywhere on these things, and that they all have built-in stay alives already on the circuitry. This to me is a premium scale. It is talking to adults that have got jobs, not teenagers. It's talking to adults that have got jobs, are getting into this hobby, and are willing to throw money at this damn thing. Because I'm one of those. I genuinely think I'm an absolute poster boy for this scale and what Hornby's ideal customer is. I think literally it just write me down and I am the target market for this stuff. That's my view on it. There we go. Right, rant over, guys. We're nearly at 20 minutes. I would really welcome your thoughts, because I just feel that, okay, for those of you who are experienced, who be like, wow, of course you do this, of course you do that, of course you do this, that, and the other. I get it. But just as a newbie, I've had to learn so much about how these bloody things work. It's been such a pain. It really has. I just don't think it was necessary. I think it's a little bit more effort, just that tiny bit where the person who designs the HM7000 talks to the person who designs these trains, and talks to the people whoever designed the stay alive, right? It's probably several different people over several different teams. It feels like they should have been put into a room together and said, guys, are we making sure this stuff actually works together really well? Are we making sure this works? Just feels like Hornby have missed a trick there. That's my two penneth. I would certainly welcome feedback. Please be polite in the comments. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm man enough to admit if I'm wrong. There's no problem. Please be polite in the comments, because this tiny little YouTube channel has already got 2 people blocked, believe it or not. Just because they were being rude and I just don't have time for it. So yeah, please do be polite in the comments. If I'm wrong and I'm off the mark, I'm happy to admit that. But I just, as my experience of it, it just feels like, well, this could have been better. And I think you've missed the trick there, Hornby. Just my view on it.